So if you're into off-roading and your rig happens to be on leaf springs like mine, sometimes what will happen is you will break the pin that holds your leaf pack together. So what I'm going to do today is upgrade to this, which is a 7/16 diameter spring pin. The ones that are in these springs, which are off of a Wagoneer, they are 3/8, and I've already broken one, and I've decided, you know what, we're just going to drill these out, which isn't easy, by the way, and we're going to upgrade to these. And there's a couple reasons I'm doing it. Let me show you. So here is my leaf pack, and there's the 3/8 one. I think this is the one that I broke before, so this is bigger. But spring steel is not easy to drill. In fact, I'll show you a couple tips on how I do it. I wouldn't recommend re-drilling like from scratch because you would weaken the spring, but I only have to upsize this existing hole, so it shouldn't be too bad. Another one of the reasons I want to do it is this is the Dana 60 that I'm getting ready to shove into this YJ, and the spring perch I use has a bigger hole than the head on that pin. That's a 3/8 bolt, and it's got a 1/2 inch pin on it. This is a 7/16 bolt, and it's got a 9/16 pin on it, which happens to be exactly what fits this one. Now it's okay for there to be a little bit of slop in here. It's not that big of a deal, but if it's sloppy and you've got one shoved forward and you've got one shoved back, your axle can actually sit a little crooked. Now on this side, I re-drilled this hole in this factory perch over to accommodate going into a different vehicle, so the original hole was right there, and I only have it up to 1/2 inch right now, but I'm gonna have to drill this one out too because right now this won't fit in there. So even though this is a YJ, those leaf springs are Wagoneer leaf springs. They came with 7 leaves. I took a leaf out, so there's 6 leaves, so I have 12 leaves to drill. And now there's a couple different ways to do it. One of the best ways is to get a carbide tipped concrete bit. I know that sounds weird, but that carbide, it helps cut through them. Now I'm gonna try a normal drill bit like that one because I took this leaf. This is the one I pulled out of those spring packs, by the way. And I've already drilled this one, and it actually went through it really well. The thing that you need to do is use some good lubrication. I have this stuff called Lubricut. It's like a gel, and you just boop, put it on your drill bit. The other thing you do is really low RPMs. So I've got my drill press set to 300 RPMs, which is as low as it goes. And it only took me 20-30 seconds to drill through that. So it shouldn't be too bad as long as I don't roach this bit out, which I probably will. Good thing I have extra cheap drill bits. This is kind of what I was talking about, what you want. This is a rock carbide concrete bit, but this one is 1/2 inch, which is a little too big, and I don't have a 7/16 one. This is what everybody on the internet says to use to drill leaf springs. This whole tip is carbide. Now if you had to drill from scratch with this, oh, that would be a bear. Now upsizing it, this kind of bit may be hard to upsize too because it's not tapered, you know, so it's gonna want to walk around. Now for my backup plan, I have this thing of these carbide burrs for my die grinder. And let me tell you, these things will chew through hardened steel and spring steel and all kinds of stuff, but you're not going to get a very uniform hole out of it. So if I absolutely have to, I can hog these out with this. So I'm just going to hope between the 3 different sets of junk drill bits that I have that I can get one to make it through 12 leaves. Now I like to make sure that all the leaves, after we take this pack apart, go back in the same spot. And the way I'm going to do that, I mean, they're nice and muddy, so it doesn't matter. I could just mark them, but I'm just going to do that, and then I know which way to orient them. What you could do is pull this out and secure everything with clamps and try to drill the whole way through the whole thing at once. But I got a feeling that's going to be really hard on the drill bit and mess this up. So we're just going to bust this apart and do them one at a time. I do apologize for my shop being a little bit of a war zone. It kind of is what it is. I got a lot going on right now, and cleaning ain't one of those things. So be it. This is how I like to take these apart. You can just unzip this, but they're gonna flay themselves open, and I like to just keep things a little more slow and controlled. Hopefully this thing's ate its Wheaties this morning. Now I'll tell you one thing, these can be an absolute bear to get out, but these springs are about, I don't know, 3.5, 4 years old, so the pins are only that old. So yeah, easy for me, may not be so easy for you. Now we'll just slowly start unwinding these. Oh, I got the bolt in there. I forgot about that. I usually take these bolts out of the end. It helps the leaves spread apart more so you get more droop, but this one doesn't really matter. It's so close to where they're clamped together. Come out of there. We'll start with old Shorty here. Chuck her in the drill press. See how this goes. Sure doesn't sound very good, does it? Oh, this drill press is junk. We are almost through already. Need to get new belts for this thing. I've got them as tight as they'll go and they just keep slipping. I'm literally down to the last 1/16 of an inch. It just doesn't want to finish. Literally just have that sliver left, but that press won't quit slipping, so we're just going to the hand drill. Something else you're going to want to be reasonably decent at, especially if you've only got one bit or crappy bits, is putting a new edge on these, sharpening them. It's a whole science in doing it, but it's not that hard if you just hold the right angle to put a new edge back on it, especially when the corners start taking a crap, because the corners are the only thing really getting used here right now. There we go. Never hurts to use the side of the bit to hog her out a little bit. But all we got to do is make sure that that goes through. Now see, it's a really tight fit. When we bolt all 6 of them together, it's going to be really hard to get it to go through all of them. So you can either try to waller it out with this, or I could just grab that carbide bit and make it just a little bigger. In spring steel, it does not cut very easy. There we go. Much better. Well, as I'm sure you saw in that time lapse, the bit wasn't having it, and I resharpened it a couple times, and so basically I got 2 leaves out of this, and then it, so that's why carbide is the answer, because I switched to this carbide burr, and I'm telling you, it was maybe 30 seconds per hole to, because these were drilled for 3/8, maybe they were a little bit oversized, so it was just a sliver to get these to fit through there, but they fit through pretty good. I don't have them lined up yet here, but now we are going to bolt this all back together. One of the things I like to do to make it easier to come apart in the future is get some anti-seize down in there. I don't put it all over the bolt, but just on this last little bit, try to shove some down in there, because I have had these pins break just trying to get them out because they were basically seized to the inside of the leaves. These little clamps are making it awkward, but there you go. She's through. Now you can just tighten this down to pull the clamps together, or pull the leaves together, but I like to just put the clamps back on there so it's not hurting the threads. Obviously, you gotta make sure you put this pin in the right way, because, you know, if you're spring under, you need the pin part to be up, and if you're spring over, you need it to be down. And we'll cut this excess off, but I like to leave about 1 inch, and that way if I want to add a leaf back or whatever, I can. Try to get these straight-ish. I've heard of people re-drilling their spring, or at least their main leaf, to get a little bit more stretch. That's why I use Wagoneer springs, because this hole's already offset. It's really not a good idea to drill another hole next to this hole, because then that hole just becomes a giant weak point, a stress point, a fracture point. There's even people on the internet, because everything you read on the internet's true, by the way. People on the internet that says even doing what I'm doing weakens these, which I guess there's a little bit less material in there or whatever. I mean, I don't think this is something that the average person needs to run out and do, but if you've broken or regularly break these, yeah, absolutely upgrade them, because it's really not that hard, especially if you're like me and your leaf springs are already out. I probably would have done this a while ago, but I didn't want to take the springs out. But they're already laying on my garage floor, and I figured, why not take this moment and just get some upgrade action going. Now, I've heard of people saying to cut this off and then peen this down with the hammer, but then, one, you can basically never get the nut off again. And two, it's not like these are really going to back loose, because as soon as you pull these clamps, you got all that spring pressure holding against it. That's way better than a lock washer or Loctite or anything else. If they come loose, that means you just never had them tight in the first place. You know, that sounds like a finger buster, so we're going to do it this way. Yeah, that would have been a finger buster. So, there you have it. One upgraded leaf spring ready to go back in the Jeep. You can see that my number 2 leaf is, or actually my main leaf is bent right here. I inverted the shackle one day and it was really bent, and this was after me straightening it back out. It still has this nice gap there, but we don't care about that. And about right there. Well, there you have it, guys. It really is that easy. I don't know how long that took, but it was definitely less than an hour, and now those are way less likely to break. So if you're tired of breaking spring pins, maybe you should consider doing this upgrade. So now, if you're interested in checking out this YJ that we're working on, here's what we're going to do. Right here will be the most recent video of me working on this, which was the 14th video in the series. So if you want to see the playlist, we'll put it down here in the corner. And that goes all the way back to the first day I dragged that axle home, which was sadly over 2 years ago. I'm a little slow sometimes. Thanks for watching, guys.